The dust on Helios 7 never settled. It hung in the air like a brown fog, making everything look dead and old. Lieutenant Kang Daeho stood at the edge of the demilitarized zone, watching the alien convoy approach through his rifle scope. 12 years of war had taught him to always watch, always be ready. "They're early," said Park Hyren, his commanding officer. The colonel stood beside him, her arms crossed. "I don't like it." Daeho lowered his rifle. "The ceasefire holds. They're here for peace talks." "Peace." Hyren spat the word like poison. "With the Vethrai? After what they did to Earth's colonies?" Daeho understood her anger. Everyone had lost someone in this war. He had lost his parents when the Vethrai destroyed the mining station where they worked, but he had also seen enough death to know that more killing would not bring anyone back. The Vethrai ships landed in a cloud of dust and engine fire. They were beautiful ships, all curves and silver metal that caught the weak sunlight, nothing like the boxy human transports. The aliens emerged slowly, their insect-like bodies moving with a grace that always surprised humans. They looked dangerous with their 4 arms and sharp features, but they moved like dancers. At the center of the group was someone different. She was smaller than the others, her shell a lighter shade of purple. She wore robes that shimmered with colors Daeho had no names for. Even from a distance, he could tell she was important. "That's the princess," Hyren said quietly. "Valerisa?" "The queen's youngest daughter." "They brought royalty to a ceasefire meeting?" Daeho frowned. "That's either very confident or very stupid. With the Vethrai, it's hard to tell which." The diplomatic ceremonies began. Daeho watched from his position, bored and hot in his armor. The speeches were long and said nothing new. Both sides promised peace while keeping their weapons ready. It was the same dance they had done for months. Then everything went wrong. The explosion came from the human side of the zone. Daeho saw the flash before he heard the sound. Fire and smoke erupted from one of the transport buildings. Alarms screamed. People started running in all directions. "Contact," someone yelled over the radio. "We have hostile contact in Sector 7. Daeho's training took over. He moved toward the threat, his rifle up and ready. Through the smoke, he saw them. 5 humans in civilian clothes but carrying military weapons. Extremists. The kind of people who wanted the war to continue forever. They were moving toward the Vethrai delegation. The alien guards were trying to form a defensive circle, but the explosion had scattered them. In the chaos, Daeho saw the princess. She had been separated from her guards. She was alone, backing away from 2 of the attackers. "Command, this is Daeho. I have visual on hostiles engaging the Vethrai princess." Requesting permission to engage. Static. Then Hyren's voice, tight with anger. "Negative. Stand down. Do not engage." "Ma'am, they're going to kill her." "That's an order, Lieutenant." Daeho watched the attackers raise their weapons. The princess held up her hands, trying to say something. The humans were not listening. In that moment, Daeho saw his mother's face. He remembered her last message, sent just before her station was destroyed. She had told him to never lose his humanity, no matter what.
He made his choice.
Daeho ran forward, firing as he moved. His first shot hit the nearest attacker in the shoulder, spinning him around. The second shot took down another. The remaining 3 turned toward him, surprised. They had not expected anyone to defend an alien. "Get behind me!" Daeho yelled at the princess. She did not speak human language, but she understood. She moved behind him as he placed himself between her and the attackers. His rifle barked again and another man fell. The last 2 opened fire. Pain exploded in Daeho's side as a plasma bolt hit him. His armor stopped most of it, but the heat burned through. He kept firing. 1 attacker went down. The last one aimed at the princess, trying to get a shot past Daeho. Daeho threw himself at the man. They crashed to the ground together. The attacker was bigger and stronger, but Daeho had fought hand-to-hand with Vethrai soldiers. Human extremists were nothing compared to that. He broke the man's arm and took his weapon. Then the second plasma bolt hit him. This one caught him in the back where his armor was weakest. The world went white with pain. Daeho fell to his knees. Through blurring vision, he saw more attackers coming. He tried to raise his rifle, but his arms would not work. The princess was saying something in her language. She sounded scared. Daeho forced himself to stay between her and the threat. If he was going to die, he would die doing the right thing. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was an alien face. Not the princess. This one was larger, wearing a crown of crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. The queen. She was looking down at him with her huge compound eyes, and her expression was something he could not read. Then nothing. Deho woke in darkness. At first he thought he was dead. Then the pain hit him and he knew he was alive. Dead people did not hurt this much. "Easy," a voice said. Human voice. "Don't move. You're badly hurt." Light slowly filled his vision. He was in some kind of medical bay. The walls were smooth and curved, definitely not human design. A medic in human uniform stood over him, checking monitors that displayed information in both human and alien script. "Where?" Deho's voice came out as a whisper. "HFY medical ship. You've been unconscious for 3 days." The medic looked nervous. "Lieutenant, there's been a situation. The princess? Alive, thanks to you. But that's the problem." The medic moved closer, lowering his voice. "The Queen won't let you go. She says you're bound to her daughter now. Some kind of alien law. Command doesn't know what to do. You might have started a whole new diplomatic crisis." Deho closed his eyes. He had saved one life and possibly destroyed the peace in the process. His mother had told him to keep his humanity. She had never mentioned how much trouble it could cause. Outside the medical bay window, he could see stars streaming past. They were moving, traveling through space, away from the ceasefire zone, away from human space. He was a prisoner or a guest. He was not sure which was worse. The door opened. A HFY entered, wearing the robes of nobility. Behind her walked the Princess Velrisa. She looked at him with her alien eyes, and slowly, carefully, she placed one of her 4 hands over her heart's. It was a gesture of respect, of thanks. Deho realized his life had just become very complicated. The medical pod kept Deho alive, but it could not make him comfortable. Every breath hurt. Every movement sent fire through his nervous system. The HFY doctors said he was lucky. The plasma burns should have killed him. Instead, they had just destroyed most of his back muscles and some internal organs. Lucky? Right. "You look terrible," said a familiar voice. Deho turned his head slowly. Choi Minho stood in the doorway, still wearing his combat gear. His best friend since basic training looked tired and worried. "Minho, how did you get here?" "Diplomatic transport. Took me 2 days." Minho came closer, staring at the alien medical equipment. "Man, they really did a number on you. Command is going crazy. They think the HFY kidnapped you." "Did they?" Minho shrugged. "That's the million-credit question. The Queen says you're a guest, but guests usually can leave when they want." Before Deho could answer, the door opened again. This time 4 HFY guards entered, followed by someone who made the air itself seem to change. Queen Shivara was tall even for her species. Her shell was deep purple, almost black, and covered with scars from old battles. She wore armor, not robes. A warrior queen. Minho's hand went to his sidearm, then stopped. They were on a HFY ship. His weapon was useless here. The Queen looked at Deho for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice translated by a device on her collar. The translation was perfect, but slightly too formal. "Lieutenant Kang Deho, you are awake. This is good. We must speak." "Your Majesty." Deho tried to sit up. Pain shot through him, but he managed it. "I need to return to my unit." "That is not possible." "Ma'am, I'm a soldier in the Human Defense Force. You can't keep me here." "I am not keeping you." The Queen moved closer. "The law is keeping you. Do you know what you did?" "I saved your daughter's life." "Yes, and by doing so you invoked an ancient law of my people. The Kethral bond. When someone saves a royal's life with no thought of reward, asking nothing in return, they become bonded to that royal. They become their guardian, their protector. This bond cannot be broken by my will or yours." Deho stared at her. "That's insane. I didn't know about any bond. I was just doing the right thing." "That is precisely why the bond exists." The Queen's mandibles clicked together in what might have been approval. Anyone can protect royalty for money or power, but to risk death for a stranger, for an enemy, that is true honor. That is what the Kethral recognizes. "I refuse," Deho said flatly. "I'm not some alien bodyguard. I have a duty to my own people." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. The guards shifted their weapons. Minho tensed, ready to fight even though it would be suicide. Queen Shivara leaned down until her face was level with Deho's. "You refuse the honor my daughter offers? You spit on the law that has protected my people for 10,000 years? I'm saying I didn't agree to this." "The bond does not require agreement. It simply is. The Queen straightened. And before you continue to refuse, know this. If you reject the Kethral bond, it is seen as an insult of the highest order. It means you value my daughter's life so little that you would not stand beside her. It means the peace talks will fail. It means war will continue. Deho felt like he had been hit again. You're blackmailing me. I am explaining reality. The Queen turned to leave, then paused. My advisors wanted me to keep you prisoner, to use you as leverage against your people. I refused. Because you showed honor, I will show honor in return. But the law is the law. You are Kethral to Princess Velrisa until she releases you or death takes you. Accept this and you may have some freedom within those bounds. Refuse and you doom millions to more war. She left. The guards followed. Only Minho remained, looking shocked. Did that really just happen? He asked. Yeah. Deho lay back down, exhausted. I saved one girl and accidentally became an alien slave. Guardian, corrected a new voice, softer than the Queen's, almost musical. Princess Velrisa stood in the doorway. She was small for a Vethrai, barely taller than Deho. Her translator was smaller than her mother's and her voice had a younger quality to it. Guardian, not slave, she repeated, moving into the room. There is a difference. Not much of one from where I'm lying, Deho said. She came to his bedside. Up close, he could see that her eyes were different colors. One was purple, the other almost gold. It was beautiful in a strange way. I am sorry, she said. I did not know this would happen. I did not know you would be bound. Not your fault. It is my fault. I wandered away from my guards. I was curious about the human settlement. I wanted to see your people up close. My curiosity nearly got me killed. Your courage saved me. She looked down at her hands. I have been studying your species, reading your histories, your stories. I know that you value freedom above almost everything. And now you have lost yours because of me. There was real pain in her voice. Guilt. Deho recognized it because he had felt it himself many times. Look, he said, you didn't ask those men to attack you. You didn't ask me to save you. These things just happened. But I can ask my mother to find another way. Perhaps if I petitioned the Council of Elders, they could set aside the ancient law. It would take time, and start a political crisis in your own government? Deho shook his head. No, your mother's right about one thing. If I refuse this bond, people will see it as an insult. The peace talks will fail, more people will die. He sighed. I didn't save your life just to cause more deaths. Velrisa's expression was hard to read, but he thought she looked relieved. Then you will accept the Kethral? Do I have a choice? We all have choices, but some choices cost more than others. That's pretty wise for someone so young. I am not that young. I have seen 16 cycles. Deho did the mental math. In human years, that made her about 18. Still young, but not a child. How long does this bond usually last? Until I release you or until you die. She saw his expression. But I will release you, as soon as it is safe to do so. I promise you this, Kang Deho. You will not be my guardian forever. I'm holding you to that promise, Princess. She placed her hand over her hearts again. You may call me Velrisa. We are bonded now. We should use names. After she left, Minho sat down heavily. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I once saw a human try to fistfight a Vethrai tank. What happened to him? He died, obviously. Minho rubbed his face. What are you going to do? What choice do I have? I'll play alien bodyguard until she lets me go. How hard can it be? Famous last words, Minho stood. I have to report back. Command is sending Ambassador Lee Nari to handle the diplomatic side. She'll be here in a week. Tell Hieron I'm sorry. For what? Saving someone's life? Minho headed for the door. You did the right thing, brother. Even if it got complicated. After Minho left, Deho lay in the silence of the medical bay, listening to the hum of the ship's engines. Somewhere on this vessel, the Queen was planning something. Politicians always were. And somewhere else, a princess felt guilty for a situation she had not created. Deho had joined the military to protect people. He had fought the Vethrai because they were the enemy. Now he was bound to protect one of them. The universe had a twisted sense of humor. Outside the window, the stars turned slowly as the ship changed course. They were heading deeper into Vethrai space, away from everything he knew, into the heart of enemy territory. He was going to meet the rest of the royal family. He was going to see the Vethrai homeworld, And he was going to be the first human to live among the enemy, as something other than a prisoner or a corpse. His mother had told him to keep his humanity. He wondered if she had any idea how hard that would be. The Vethrai homeworld of Vetharana was nothing like Deho expected. He had imagined dark cities full of weapons and military might. Instead, he saw towers of crystal that reached into purple clouds. Gardens hung in the air between buildings held up by technology he did not understand. It was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Impressive, is it not? Belrisa stood beside him at the observation window. They were descending toward the royal palace in a small transport. It's not what I expected, Deho admitted. What did you expect? Monsters in caves? Something like that. She made a sound that might have been laughter. We are not so different from humans. We build, we create, we love beauty. We just happen to look like your nightmares. I didn't mean, it is fine. I know what humans think of us, just as I know what my people think of you. Soft, weak, short-lived. She glanced at him. But you are none of those things. You proved that. The transport landed in a courtyard made of stone that seemed to glow from within. Dozens of Vethrai waited there, all wearing formal robes. Guards lined the walls, their weapons visible but not aimed. Yet. Stay close to me, Belrisa said quietly. The court is dangerous in ways weapons cannot protect against. They exited the transport. Every Vethrai eye turned to Deho. He could feel their stares like physical weight. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. None looked friendly. A tall Vethrai stepped forward. He wore armor covered in medals and honors. His shell was darker than Velrisa's, almost black like the queen's. His mandibles clicked with clear displeasure. Sister, you bring this human into our sacred home. Prince Theron, Velrisa said formally. This is Kang Deho, my Kethral guardian. He has earned the right to walk our halls. He has earned nothing. He is human. An enemy. Prince Theron moved closer to Deho. I am the eldest son, heir to the throne, and I say this one should be in chains, not standing beside royalty. Deho kept his face neutral. He had dealt with bullies before. The trick was not to show fear or anger. Your mother disagrees, he said calmly. Theron's eyes narrowed. My mother makes mistakes. Showing weakness to humans is her greatest mistake. That is enough, Theron. Queen Shavara emerged from the palace. Deho is here by ancient law. You will respect that law, or you will explain to the Council of Elders why you believe yourself above tradition. The prince bowed stiffly and stepped back, but his eyes promised violence later. The queen led them into the palace. Deho tried not to stare, but it was impossible. Everything was alien yet familiar. There were chairs, but shaped wrong. There were windows, but they showed colors outside the normal spectrum. There were guards, but they carried weapons that looked like works of art. You will have quarters near Velrisa's chambers, the queen said as they walked. As her guardian, you must be close enough to respond to threats. What kind of threats does a princess face in her own palace? The queen stopped and looked at him. The same kind every royal faces. Political enemies. Ambitious nobles. Assassins hired by those who oppose peace. She resumed walking. Do not assume that because we are civilized, we are safe. Safety is an illusion that gets people killed. They reached a door that opened at Velrisa's touch. Beyond was a suite of rooms, smaller than what Deho had imagined for a princess, but still luxurious by human standards. Your quarters connect to mine through that door. Velrisa pointed to a smaller entrance. There is a human-compatible bed and facilities. I had them installed while you were recovering. Thank you. I also had these brought. She gestured to a table where human clothes sat folded, and these. On another table was a set of armor, clearly Vethrai made but sized for a human. The armor was beautiful, black metal with blue energy lines running through it, light but strong, a helmet with full environmental controls, and weapons, a rifle that matched the armor's design, along with a blade that seemed to shimmer with heat. Ceremonial gear for a Kethral guardian, the queen explained. You represent my daughter now. You should look the part. Over the next few days, Deho learned to navigate the royal court. It was like walking through a minefield. Every conversation had hidden meanings. Every gesture could be an insult or an honor. He made mistakes constantly. Li Nari arrived on the fourth day. The human ambassador was a small woman with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. She met with Deho privately in his quarters. "You've caused quite the situation," she said without greeting. "I saved a girl's life. You bound yourself to alien royalty using laws nobody in human space understands. Do you know how many diplomatic incidents this has created?" "I can guess," Nari sighed. "The good news is that the peace talks are moving forward. Your presence here has actually helped. It shows humans can be trusted, at least according to some Vethrai. The bad news is that half the human military wants you court-martialed for treason. For saving someone? For serving an alien royal? For wearing their armor? For walking their halls like you belong there?" She leaned forward. "Deho, I'm trying to protect you, but you need to be careful. Very careful. There are people on both sides who want this peace to fail." She was right, but not in the way she thought. Deho discovered the truth 3 days later. He was training in the combat halls, sparring with Vethrai warriors. They hit harder than humans, moved faster, and had 4 arms to his 2. But Deho had been fighting for years. He learned their patterns, adapted his style, and started winning more fights than he lost. The warriors respected that. Slowly, grudgingly, they began to accept him. It was in the training hall that he overheard the conversation. 2 nobles speaking quietly in a corner, thinking he could not understand their language. But Velrisa had been teaching him. Simple phrases at first, then more complex ones. He understood enough. "The general will move soon," one said. "When?" "When the human delegation arrives. We will strike then. Blame the humans for the queen's death. And the prince? He supports the plan. He will take the throne and restart the war." Deho kept training, pretending he had heard nothing. But his mind raced. There was a plot to kill the queen, to destroy the peace. And Prince Theron was part of it. He had to tell someone, but who? The queen might not believe him. Velrisa would be heartbroken to learn her brother was a traitor. Ambassador Nari had no power here. That night, Velrisa came to his quarters. She had started visiting in the evenings, teaching him more of her language and learning about human culture in return. "You seem troubled," she said. "Just tired." "You are a bad liar." She sat down across from him. "What is wrong?" Deho made his choice. He told her everything. She listened in silence. When he finished, her face was unreadable. Then she stood and walked to the window, looking out at the glowing city. "My brother," she said quietly. "I always knew he disagreed with Mother's peace efforts. But to plot murder, I could be wrong. I only heard part of the conversation." "No, it makes sense." She turned back to him. "Theron has been meeting with General Thrakvan. I thought they were discussing military matters. But if they are planning a coup..." She paused. "We need proof. My mother will not act on rumors alone." "Then we get proof." "We?" She looked at him in surprise. "I'm your guardian, remember? Your problems are my problems now." For the first time since he met her, Velrisa smiled. It was a strange expression on her alien face, but it seemed genuine. "You are strange, Kang Deho. You save your enemy's child. You accept a bond that strips away your freedom, and now you volunteer to risk your life again to protect people who hate you. Maybe I'm just stupid. Or maybe you are the best kind of human." She moved to the door. "Rest. Tomorrow we begin investigating. If my brother is truly a traitor, we will stop him." After she left, Deho looked at the ceremonial armor hanging on his wall. He had worn human colors his entire adult life. Now he wore alien armor and served an alien princess. His old unit would not recognize him. Sometimes he barely recognized himself. But one thing had not changed. He still believed in doing the right thing even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. The plot against the queen was real. And somehow a human soldier was going to have to help stop it. In a palace full of aliens, on a world where he did not belong. His mother would have laughed at the insanity of it all. Then she would have told him to do his duty. So that is exactly what he would do. Getting proof of a conspiracy was harder than Deho expected. The plotters were careful. They met in secure locations. They used coded language. And they were all powerful nobles or military leaders who had loyal followers everywhere. "We need to get into General Thrakvan's private chambers," Velrisa said. They were in her study, reviewing what little information they had gathered over the past week. "That's suicide," Deho replied. "The general commands the palace guard. His quarters will be heavily defended. Not during the Festival of Stars. In 3 days, the entire palace will gather in the Grand Hall for the ceremonies. Even the general must attend. It is tradition, and if we get caught, then we die." She said it simply, like she was discussing the weather. "But if we do nothing and the plot succeeds, thousands will die." Perhaps millions when the war restarts. Deho studied the maps they had of the palace. The general's quarters were in the military wing, far from the royal chambers. Getting there unseen would be almost impossible. "We need help," he said finally. "Someone who knows the palace security systems." Velrisa thought for a moment. "I know someone." "But you will not like it." She was right. He did not like it at all. Commander Han Jiwoo arrived that evening. She was human, part of the intelligence division and officially assigned as a liaison to the ambassador. Unofficially, she ran human spy networks in Vethrai space. "You want me to help you break into a Vethrai general's quarters to steal evidence of a plot that might not exist?" Jiwoo looked at them like they were crazy. "Yes," Velrisa said calmly. "And if this plot does exist and we get caught, it will look like human spies were stealing Vethrai military secrets. The peace talks will collapse immediately." "Also yes," Jiwoo laughed. It was not a happy sound. "You two are either very brave or very stupid. I haven't decided which. Can you help us or not?" Deho asked. "I can get you in. I've been mapping the palace security for months. But getting out again? That's your problem." She pulled up a holographic display of the palace. "The general's quarters have multiple security systems. Electronic locks, guard rotations, biometric scanners. You'll need someone with palace clearance to get past the first layer." "I have clearance," Velrisa said, "and you'll need someone who can bypass the electronic systems." Jiwoo looked at Deho. "That's me. But I can't be seen helping a Vethrai princess break into her own palace, so I'll guide you remotely." The Festival of Stars was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The entire palace gathered in the grand hall, hundreds of Vethrai nobles in their finest robes. The ceiling had been made transparent, showing the night sky above. Every 50 years a meteor shower passed through the system. Tonight was that night. Daiho stood beside Velrisa in his ceremonial armor, watching meteors streak across the sky. Everyone was watching the sky. Nobody was watching them. "Now," Velrisa whispered. They slipped out through a side entrance. Jiwoo's voice came through Deho's earpiece, quiet and professional. "Head left. There's a service corridor 50 meters ahead. Guard rotation happens in 2 minutes." They moved quickly through empty halls. The palace felt different at night, more dangerous. Every shadow could hide an enemy. The general's quarters were in a tower overlooking the military barracks. They reached it without being seen, but then came the hard part. "Biometric scanner," Jiwoo said. "Velrisa, you're up." The princess placed her hand on the scanner. It read her identity and opened with a soft click. Royal clearance opened many doors. Inside, the quarters were neat and organized. Too organized. Every surface was clean. Every item in its place. This was a military mind at work. "Look for data tablets, secure files, anything with military codes," Jiwoo directed. "You have 10 minutes before the festival breaks and people start moving again." They searched quickly. Deho took the left side of the main room while Velrisa searched the bedroom. He found military reports, tactical analyses, supply inventories. Nothing unusual for a general. "Deho," Velrisa called softly. "Here." In the bedroom, hidden behind a panel in the wall, was a secure data vault. Velrisa tried her clearance. The vault rejected it. "It requires the general's personal code," she said, frustrated. "Step back." Deho pulled out a small device Jiwoo had given him. "This might take a minute." "You don't have a minute," Jiwoo's voice was urgent. "I'm seeing movement." "The general left the festival early. He's coming your way." "How long?" 5 minutes. Maybe less." Deho worked faster. The device cycled through code combinations, searching for the right sequence. Sweat ran down his back. Beside him, Velrisa kept watch at the door. 4 minutes, 3, 2. The vault clicked open. Inside were data tablets and what looked like communication equipment. Deho grabbed everything, shoving it into a bag. They moved to the door. "Wait," Jiwoo said. "He's in the corridor. You're trapped." Deho looked around. There was a window, but they were 5 stories up. There was the door, but a general and his guards were coming through at any second. "The ventilation system," Velrisa said suddenly. "It runs through every room." She pointed to a grate in the ceiling. It was small, but they might fit. Deho jumped up, pulled the grate free, and boosted Velrisa up first. Then he pulled himself up just as he heard voices outside the door. They crawled through the ventilation shaft as quietly as possible. Behind them, they heard the general enter his quarters. heard him speak to his guards, heard him walk directly to the bedroom. Then they heard him shout in rage. "Move," Jiwoo urged. "He knows someone was there. Security is going to lock down the palace." They crawled faster, following Jiwoo's directions through the maze of shafts. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed through the grates. Guards ran past below them, searching. "Drop down here," Jiwoo said. "You're above the royal wing. Security will be lighter there." They dropped into an empty hallway, ran toward Velrisa's chambers. Made it inside just as guards turned the corner behind them. Inside, breathing hard, they looked at each other. "That was too close," Daeho said. "But we have the evidence." Velrisa pulled out one of the tablets. "Now we see if it was worth it." They spent the next hour reviewing the stolen data. What they found was worse than they feared. The plot was real. General Thrakvan had been planning it for months. He had loyal followers throughout the military. He had weapons cached in secret locations, and the assassination was scheduled for the next day, when the human delegation arrived for the signing of the peace treaty. But worst of all was Prince Theron's involvement. Messages between him and the general made it clear. The prince would take the throne after his mother's death. He would blame humans for the assassination, and he would restart the war with full military backing. "We have to tell my mother," Velrisa said, her voice shaking. "Tonight." They went to the queen's chambers. The guards tried to stop them, but Velrisa used her authority to push through. They found Queen Shavara preparing for sleep, her ceremonial armor removed. She listened to their story in silence. Then she reviewed the evidence on the tablets. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands trembled slightly when she saw her son's messages. "Leave us," she ordered the guards. When they were alone, the queen sat down heavily. For the first time, she looked old. "My son," she whispered. "My first child. How did I not see this?" "He hid it well," Velrisa said gently. "I knew he disagreed with the peace. I knew he thought me weak for negotiating with humans. But to plot murder?" The queen looked at them. "You risked everything to bring me this information. Why, Daeho, you are human. If this plot succeeded, your people would be blamed. You could have let it happen. And let you die? Let the war restart?" Daeho shook his head. "That's not who I am." "No," the queen agreed. "It is not. You are Kethral. You protect my daughter, yes, but tonight you protected me. You protected peace itself." She stood, her royal bearing returning. "I will handle this. The general will be arrested. My son," she paused. "My son will face justice." "The assassination is planned for tomorrow," Velrisa reminded her. "Then we move tonight, before they can react." The queen activated a communication device. "Summon the loyal guard, and bring me the head of military security. We have traitors to arrest." What followed was swift and brutal. The loyal guard, soldiers personally sworn to the queen, moved through the palace. They arrested General Thrakvan in his quarters. They seized his co-conspirators, and they surrounded Prince Theron's chambers. Daeho and Velrisa watched from the command center as events unfolded. The prince tried to fight. His personal guards tried to protect him, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. When they brought Theron before the queen, his face was full of rage and hatred. "You choose peace over your own son?" he spat. "I choose my people over your ambition," the queen replied coldly. "You will stand trial before the Council of Elders. If found guilty, you will be exiled. This is your weakness. The humans are using you. That one," he pointed at Daeho. "He is a spy. He has turned Velrisa against her own family." "No," Velrisa said quietly. "You did that yourself when you chose treason." As guards took the prince away, Daeho felt exhausted. They had stopped the plot, saved the queen, preserved the peace, but he had made powerful enemies tonight. General Thrakvan's followers were still out there. And Prince Theron, even in exile, would remember who had exposed him. The hunter had become the hunted, and the game was far from over. The neutral space station hung between human and Vethrai territory like a symbol of hope, or a target. Daeho could not decide which. 3 months had passed since the failed coup. Prince Theron was in exile on a remote colony world. General Thrakvan and his co-conspirators had been executed. The peace talks had continued, but they were fragile. One wrong move could shatter everything. "You look nervous," Velrisa said. She stood beside him on the observation deck, watching transport ships arrive from both sides. "I am nervous. Half the human military thinks I'm a traitor. Half the Vethrai court thinks I'm a spy. And now both sides want me at the final peace negotiations. Because you represent what peace could mean. A human who protects a Vethrai, a bridge between our peoples. I'm a soldier who got lucky, that's all. You are more than that. You just do not see it yet. The human delegation arrived first. Ambassador Lee Nari led them, along with several military officers and politicians. Among them was someone Deho had not expected to see. "Tajan," he called out. His younger brother turned, smiled, and ran toward him. They embraced in the human way, which drew stares from the Vethrai present. "Look at you," Tajan said, stepping back. "Alien armor, ceremonial weapons. You look like something from a video game. What are you doing here?" "I'm a journalist, remember? This is the biggest story in human history. Peace with the Vethrai, and my brother is right in the middle of it." Tajan's expression turned serious. "How are you really?" "Tired, confused, not sure where I belong anymore." "You belong wherever you choose to be." The Vethrai delegation arrived an hour later. Queen Shavara came with a full royal escort. Velrisa stayed close to her mother, but she glanced at Deho frequently. He could tell she was nervous too. The negotiations took place in a huge conference room. Humans on one side, Vethrai on the other. Deho stood behind Velrisa, his position as her guardian making his place clear. But where was his loyalty? For 3 days the two sides talked. They argued about territory.
About resources.
About reparations for damages from the war. Every point was contested. Every agreement was fragile. On the 4th day, the human military leadership made their demand. "We want Lieutenant Kang Deho returned to human command immediately," said Admiral Yang Sunjae. He was an older man, hard as stone, with no love for aliens. He is a human soldier. His service to the Vethrai royal family ends today. Queen Shavara's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Deho is Kethral to my daughter. The bond cannot be broken by your demands." "Then we will not sign any treaty. No peace, just a return to war." The room went silent. Deho felt every eye turned to him. He was the breaking point, the thing that would decide peace or war. "This is insane," he said, standing. "You're going to let millions die over one person?" "You are a symbol," Admiral Yang replied. "A human serving alien royalty sends a message that we are weak, that we submit to their customs. I will not allow that message to spread. And I will not allow a human to dictate our laws," Queen Shavara countered. "The Kethral bond is sacred. To break it at your demand would show that our traditions mean nothing." They were at an impasse. Deho looked at Velrisa. She looked back, her expression sad. They both knew what had to happen. "Your Majesty," Velrisa said, standing. "I wish to address the council." "Speak, daughter." Velrisa moved to the center of the room, standing in the neutral space between the two delegations. When she spoke, her voice was clear and strong. "I am Princess Velrisa, daughter of Queen Shavara. 3 months ago, this human saved my life. He asked for nothing, expected nothing. He simply did what he thought was right. The Kethral bond formed because of his honor." She paused, looking at both sides. "But I have learned something from Kang Deho. I have learned that sometimes following the law exactly is not the same as doing what is right. The letter of the law and the spirit of the law can be different things." "What are you saying?" the Queen asked. "I am saying that I release Deho from his bond, freely, willingly. Not because anyone forced me, but because it is right. He has been my guardian. He has protected me and my mother. He has shown honor at every turn. He has earned his freedom." Deho felt something shift inside him. The bond, whatever mystical or psychological thing it had been, seemed to loosen. He was free. He could go home. So why did he feel empty? "Thank you," he said quietly. Velrisa nodded, but she looked sad. The Queen's expression was unreadable. "There," Admiral Yang said with satisfaction. "The human is released. Now we can proceed with negotiations." "Wait," Deho said. Everyone looked at him again. "I want to say something." "Lieutenant, you are ordered to remain silent," the Admiral said. "With respect, sir, I don't take orders from you anymore. I resigned my commission 2 days ago." Shock rippled through both delegations. Even Velrisa looked surprised. "You did what?" Tajan asked. "I resigned. Officially. As of yesterday, I am a civilian." Deho moved to the center of the room beside Velrisa. which means I can make my own choices about where I serve and who I serve. Daiho, what are you doing? Velrisa whispered. Something stupid, probably. He raised his voice. Queen Shivara, I am no longer bound by the Kethral law, but I choose to remain as Velrisa's guardian, not because law demands it, but because I want to. You cannot be serious, the Admiral said. I am completely serious. For the past 3 months I have lived among the Vethrai. I have learned their language, their customs, their culture. They are not monsters. They are people. Different from us, yes, but people. He looked at the human delegation, and I have seen what peace could look like, if we are brave enough to try. He turned to the Queen. Your Majesty, I formally request permission to serve as a liaison between our peoples. Not as a soldier, not as a prisoner, but as someone who believes both sides deserve peace. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she looked at Velrisa. Daughter, what do you think? I think he is brave, Velrisa said softly. And I think we need more people like him. Queen Shivara stood. Very well. Kang Daiho, I accept your offer. You will serve as the first official liaison between the Vethrai Empire and the Human Alliance. Your position will be recognized by both governments. This is outrageous, Admiral Yang protested. This is progress, Ambassador Nari countered. She had been quiet until now. Admiral, step back. This is a diplomatic matter now, not a military one. The negotiations continued, but the tension had changed. Daiho's choice had shifted something fundamental. A human choosing to stay with the Vethrai, not as a prisoner. Not because of law, but because he believed in peace. That evening, Daiho stood on the observation deck alone. Stars streamed past outside. Countless worlds where humans and Vethrai lived without knowing about this moment. You gave up your freedom for me, Velrisa said, joining him. Why? I didn't give it up. I used it to make a choice. He looked at her. These past months I have learned something. Home is not always where you are born. Sometimes it is where you are needed. You could have gone back to Earth, seen your family, lived a normal life. Normal is overrated, he smiled slightly. Besides, someone needs to teach you more about human culture. You still cannot tell the difference between good movies and bad ones. She made that sound that might have been laughter. Thank you, Daiho, for everything. They stood in comfortable silence watching the stars. Behind them, through the windows into the conference room, negotiations continued. Agreements were being drafted. Treaties were being written. Peace was being built, one careful word at a time. And at the heart of it all was a human who had defended an enemy's daughter, who had been bound by ancient law, then freed by royal decree, then chose to stay anyway. Taejin found him later that night. Are you sure about this? His brother asked. Once you do this, you can't go back. You'll always be the human who sided with the Vethrai. I'm not siding with anyone. I'm standing for peace. Same thing to most people. Then most people are wrong. Daiho put his hand on his brother's shoulder. Tell Mom I'm sorry. Tell her I'm doing what she taught me, staying human no matter what. She would be proud. Confused but proud. Taejin hugged him. Take care of yourself, brother. And if you ever need anything, I'm one call away. After Taejin left, Daiho returned to his quarters. They were neutral territory, belonging to neither side. Just like him now. He took off the ceremonial Vethrai armor and looked at himself in the mirror. He was still human, still Kang Daiho from Earth, but he was also something more now. Something new. A bridge between worlds, a symbol of what could be possible. Tomorrow both sides would sign the peace treaty, and his real work would begin. Teaching humans about Vethrai, teaching Vethrai about humans. Standing in the middle, belonging fully to neither side but serving both. It would be hard, lonely, dangerous, but it was the right thing to do, and that in the end was all that mattered. 6 months after the peace treaty was signed, Daiho stood in a human classroom on a colony world called New Sol. 20 children stared at him with wide eyes. Behind him, a holographic image of Velrisa floated in the air. This is Princess Velrisa, he said in Korean, then repeated in standard English. She is my friend. She is also Vethrai. Can anyone tell me what the Vethrai are? A small girl raised her hand. The bug people who tried to kill us? Daiho smiled sadly. They look different from us, yes. But they are not bugs. They are people. And the war is over now. My dad says the war will start again, a boy said. He says aliens can't be trusted. Your dad lost someone in the war, didn't he? The boy nodded, looking down. So did I. My parents died in the first year. But I learned something important. Hating all Vethrai because some of them fought us is like saying all humans are bad because some humans are criminals. It's not fair. This was his life now, traveling between human and Vethrai worlds, teaching, explaining, trying to build understanding one person at a time. It was exhausting work and sometimes it felt hopeless. But slowly it was working. On the Vethrai homeworld, Velrisa was doing the same thing. She had grown in the past months. No longer just a princess, she was becoming a leader. She gave speeches about peace. She met with human delegations. She was being prepared to one day rule the empire. They spoke often through secure communications, sometimes about work, sometimes about nothing important. She had become his closest friend, despite the distance between them. The Council of Elders is meeting tomorrow, she told him during one call. They will discuss the proposal for joint research stations. Will they approve it? I think so. Public opinion is shifting. Slowly, but it is shifting. She paused. How are things on your end? Mixed. Some people are embracing the peace. Others think I'm a traitor. Last week someone threw a bottle at me during a speech. Are you hurt? Just my pride. The bottle missed. She did not laugh. Deho, I worry about you. You are alone among humans who hate you and Vethrai who still distrust you. This is not sustainable. I'll be fine. Will you? How long can one person stand in the middle before they are torn apart? He did not have an answer to that. The real crisis came 2 weeks later. A distress signal from a mining colony in neutral space. Both human and Vethrai ships responded. When they arrived, they found something neither side expected. A third alien species, the Kralseth. They were raiders, predators that traveled between systems stealing resources and technology. They had attacked the mining colony, killing everyone there, and they had left a message written in both human and Vethrai script. You are weak. United, you are still weak. We are coming. The message sparked panic on both sides. The peace was fragile enough without a new threat. Some humans said it was a Vethrai trick. Some Vethrai said humans had hired the raiders. Old suspicions died hard. Deho was called to an emergency meeting on the neutral station. Both Queen Shavara and the human president attended via hologram. Military leaders from both sides were present in person. The room was tense with barely controlled hostility. This is obviously a Vethrai attack, Admiral Yang insisted. They want to restart the war while looking innocent. Ridiculous, General Kresh replied. He was the new head of Vethrai military, appointed after General Thrakvan's execution. The Kralseth are a known threat. They have raided our border worlds for years. Convenient that they attack now just as our alliance forms. Enough! Queen Shavara's hologram seemed to fill the room. We are being manipulated. Can you not see? This Kralseth attack is designed to divide us, to make us blame each other. Or the Kralseth are real and we are both in danger, the human president added. She was a practical woman named Kim Yuna, elected on a platform of peace. Either way, we need to respond together. Together? Admiral Yang scoffed. With all respect, Madam President, we cannot trust the Vethrai military. Not yet. Deho stood up. He had been quiet until now, but he could not stay silent any longer. Permission to speak? Granted, the president said. I have spent the past 6 months building bridges between our peoples. I have seen progress, real progress, but I have also seen how easily fear can destroy what we have built. He looked around the room. The Kralseth, whether they know it or not, have done us a favor. They have given us a common enemy, a reason to stand together instead of apart. Pretty words, the Admiral said, but this is military reality, not philosophy. Then let's talk military reality. Neither of us can handle the Kralseth alone. Human ships are faster and more maneuverable. Vethrai ships have stronger shields and weapons. Apart, we are vulnerable. Together, we might actually stand a chance. He is right, General Kresh said. I have reviewed the tactical data. A joint operation would be significantly more effective. But can we trust each other in battle? Someone asked. There's only one way to find out, Deho said. The debate continued for hours. Finally, a decision was made. A joint task force would be formed. Half human, half Vethrai. They would hunt the Kralseth and protect both territories, and Deho would serve as the liaison between the two militaries. Are you sure about this? Dr. Kim Sora asked him. She was a xenobiologist who had been helping him understand Vethrai psychology. She had become a friend over the months. You will be in the middle of a war zone. If anything goes wrong, both sides will blame you. Nothing new then, Deho said with a tired smile. Velrisa was more direct when she heard the news. You resigned from the military to avoid war. Now you are going back to war anyway? This is different. This time I'm not fighting to kill enemies. I'm fighting to protect peace. The difference might not matter if you die. I know the risks. Do you? Daiho, you have given everything for this peace. Your freedom, your home, your normal life. What more can you give? Whatever it takes. She was quiet for a moment. Then I am coming with you. What? No, absolutely not. I am not asking permission. I am the heir to the Vethrai throne. If this joint task force is to work, both our peoples need to see their leaders committed to it. You represent humanity. I will represent the Vethrai. Your mother will never allow it. My mother agrees. We discussed it before I called you. Deho realized he had been outmaneuvered. You had this planned. I learned from the best. There might have been a smile in her voice. Besides, we are a team now. You and I, the human and the Vethrai. If we are asking soldiers to trust each other, we must show that we trust each other. The joint task force assembled at a forward military base. 12 ships, 6 humans, 6 Vethrai. The humans called them the Unity Fleet. The Vethrai called them something that translated to proof of change. Daiho called them a disaster waiting to happen. The crews did not trust each other. They communicated poorly. They argued over tactics. Every joint exercise ended in confusion. Human pilots thought Vethrai flew too cautiously. Vethrai thought humans were reckless. Captain Yoon Min-jae, the human fleet commander, was a patient woman. But even her patience was being tested. This is impossible, she told Deho after another failed training drill. We speak different languages. We use different tactics. Our ships are not designed to work together. Then we adapt, Deho replied. War forces adaptation. Easy for you to say. You are not trying to coordinate 6 different ship classes with 6 different command structures. Velrisa joined them. She wore simple military robes now, not the royal finery she once preferred. She looked tired but determined. Captain Yoon is right. This is not working. We need to change our approach. What do you suggest? Deho asked. Stop trying to make our forces fight the same way. Instead, accept that we fight differently and use that as an advantage. Explain, the captain said. Velrisa pulled up a tactical display. Human ships are fast. They can strike quickly and retreat. Vethrai ships are strong. They can hold position under heavy fire. So we do not try to do the same things. Humans become the sword. We become the shield. You strike, we defend. Together we are complete. Min-jae studied the display. It could work. But it requires absolute trust. Then we build that trust, Deho said. One drill at a time. One mission at a time. 3 weeks later, they got their chance. Kralseth raiders hit a joint human Vethrai colony on the frontier. The Unity Fleet responded. Deho stood on the bridge of the lead Vethrai ship beside Velrisa. Captain Yoon commanded the human forces from her carrier. The Kralseth had 4 ships heavily armed and aggressive. Human forces engage at range, Min-jae ordered. Draw them toward us. The human ships darted forward, firing missiles and energy weapons. The Kralseth turned to meet them. As they did, the Vethrai ships moved into position. Now, Velrisa commanded. The Vethrai ships formed a defensive wall. Their shields overlapped, creating an almost impenetrable barrier. The human ships retreated through gaps in the formation, then turned to fire again while protected by Vethrai shields. The Kralseth tried to break the formation. They failed. Every time they pushed forward, human ships struck their flanks. Every time they retreated, both forces pressed the attack. It was not perfect. One human ship took heavy damage. 2 Vethrai ships had to withdraw with failing shields. But they won. The Kralseth ships retreated into deep space, damaged and defeated. On the bridge, Deho watched the tactical display. Human and Vethrai ships regrouping together, helping each other with the war with the Kralseth lasted 8 months. 8 months of battles, losses, and hard-won victories. The Unity Fleet grew from 12 ships to 40. More joined each week as both governments committed to the defense of their shared territories. Deho barely slept during those months. He was always needed somewhere, translating between commanders, solving disputes, helping crews learn to work together. He became the glue that held the alliance together when stress tried to tear it apart. Velrisa was by his side through most of it. She had proven herself a capable military leader, much to her mother's surprise. She understood strategy and tactics, but more importantly, she understood people. She knew when to push and when to give space. She knew how to turn enemies into allies. Together they were effective. The human soldiers respected Deho because he was one of them. The Vethrai respected Velrisa because she was royalty, and both sides respected the partnership between them. But the Kralseth were not giving up easily. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they found organized resistance. They adapted their tactics, becoming more aggressive and more dangerous. The final confrontation came at a system called Haven Point. It was a newly established colony, half human and half Vethrai, living together in a joint settlement. The Kralseth saw it as an insult to their superiority. They gathered their largest fleet and attacked. 40 Kralseth warships against the Unity fleet's 43. The battle would decide everything. Deho stood on the command deck of the flagship, a joint design built specifically for integrated operations. Captain Yoon commanded the ship, but Velrisa and Deho coordinated the overall strategy. They are dividing their forces, the tactical officer reported. 20 ships moving to engage us, 20 circling toward the colony. They want to force us to split up, Velrisa said. Divide our strength. Then we do the opposite, Deho replied. We stay together. All forces full assault on their main fleet. We take them out fast, then move to defend the colony. That leaves the colony exposed, Captain Yoon said, for about 20 minutes. The colonists have shelters and defense systems. They can hold that long. You are betting a lot of lives on that assumption. I know, but if we split our fleet, we lose both battles. Together, we might win both. Velrisa looked at him, then nodded. I agree. We commit everything. The order went out. All 43 ships of the Unity fleet formed into a single massive formation. Human ships on the outside, fast and aggressive. Vethrai ships in the core providing cover and heavy firepower. They crashed into the Kralseth main fleet like a hammer. The battle was chaos. Ships exploded. Energy weapons lit up the void. Missiles crossed paths with plasma fire. The Kralseth were good fighters, but they had never faced a unified force like this before. Human ships darted through the enemy formation, creating confusion. Vethrai ships held key positions, their shields protecting damaged vessels. The coordination was not perfect, but it was good enough. One by one, Kralseth ships fell. Enemy fleet breaking apart, the tactical officer reported. They are retreating. Second fleet moving toward the colony, another officer warned. Pursuit formation, Velrisa ordered. Human ships, maximum speed. Vethrai ships, follow as fast as you can. The human ships pulled ahead, racing to reach the colony before the Kralseth could cause major damage. Deho watched the tactical display, calculating times and distances. It would be close. Too close. We are not going to make it, he said quietly. Then we make them pay for every second, Velrisa replied. The human ships reached weapons range just as the Kralseth began their bombardment. The colony's shields held, but they would not last long. The human ships opened fire, drawing attention away from the defenseless settlement. It worked. The Kralseth turned to face this new threat. But they outnumbered the human forces 2-1. The human ships took heavy damage. Then the Vethrai fleet arrived. They came in at full thrust, shields at maximum. They did not slow down. They crashed directly into the Kralseth formation, using their own ships as weapons. The impact scattered the Kralseth fleet. Before they could recover, the human ships attacked from the other side. Caught between two forces, the Kralseth broke. This time they did not retreat. They ran. The Unity fleet let them go. They were too damaged to pursue, and the colony needed protection. Deho sagged against his console, exhausted. Around him, the bridge crew was cheering, human and Vethrai together, celebrating victory. Status report, Captain Yoon ordered once order was restored. The reports came in slowly. 7 ships lost, 14 heavily damaged, nearly 2,000 dead, split almost evenly between human and Vethrai. But they had won. The colony was safe. The Kralseth were defeated. The war was over. 3 months later, Deho stood on the observation deck of the neutral station, the same place where he had once chosen to stay with Velrisa. Now he was waiting for another important moment. The formal alliance ceremony was about to begin. Not just a peace treaty, but a full defensive alliance between humanity and the Vethrai Empire. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, joint military operations. A new age was beginning. You look thoughtful, Velrisa said, joining him. Just thinking about how we got here. You mean how you defended an enemy's daughter and changed the course of history? I didn't change anything. I just did what felt right. That is exactly what changed everything. She looked out at the stars. My mother wants to speak with you after the ceremony. About what? She is offering you a position, ambassador at large. You would speak for both our peoples, traveling between worlds, continuing the work you have been doing. That sounds exhausting. It is. But there is no one else who can do it. Deho thought about it. He could refuse. He could retire to a quiet colony somewhere and live a normal life. He had earned that right 100 times over. But he knew he would not. This was his purpose now. Being the bridge. The translator. The guardian of two peoples. I'll do it, he said. On one condition. What condition? That I'm not alone in this. That you continue working with me. I can't do this without you. Velrisa was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I was afraid you would not ask. My mother is stepping down in 5 years. I will become queen. But until then, I want to spend my time building this alliance with you. They stood together watching the stars, and Daiho felt something he had not felt in a long time. Peace. Not the political kind, but the personal kind. The feeling of being exactly where he was supposed to be. The ceremony was beautiful. Representatives from dozens of human worlds and Vethrai systems attended. The speeches were long and formal, but the meaning was clear. The war was over. The alliance was real. Queen Shivara and President Kim stood together to sign the final documents. Then they called Daiho and Velrisa forward. These two individuals, the Queen said, have shown us what is possible when we look past our differences. A human who defended a Vethrai princess. A Vethrai princess who released him from ancient bonds, only for him to choose to stay anyway. They are the symbol of our alliance. The proof that two peoples can become one. The applause was deafening. Afterward, the Queen requested a private meeting. Daiho, Velrisa, and Queen Shivara stood alone in a small chamber. Daiho, the Queen said, I want to explain something. When I refused to let you go after you saved Velrisa, it was not just about the law. Your Majesty, I saw in you something I had not seen in any warrior, human or Vethrai. Honor without expectation of reward, courage without pride, and I knew that if peace was to work, we needed people like you on both sides. She paused. I could not let you go because you represented hope, and I could not let hope slip away. I understand, Daiho said quietly. Do you? I used the law to trap you, to force you into service. I am not proud of that. You did what you thought was necessary. We all did, and somehow it worked out. Because of you. Because you chose to see past your anger, past your grief. You chose to protect your enemy's daughter. That choice changed everything. Velrisa took Daiho's hand. It was the first time she had done that. A simple gesture, but it meant everything. You are my friend, she said. My partner. My guardian, even though you do not have to be. And when I become queen, I hope you will still stand beside me. Always, Daiho replied. 10 years later, Daiho stood at a memorial on Helios 7. The place where it all began, where he had made the choice that changed his life and the lives of billions. The memorial was simple. A stone monument with names carved in 3 languages. Human, Vethrai, and Kralseth, the dead from all sides of the conflicts. Queen Velrisa stood beside him. She had taken the throne 2 years ago, and had proven to be a wise and fair ruler. The alliance she had helped build was strong now, tested by time and trial. She had brought her young daughter with her today, a small princess who looked at the memorial with curious eyes. Tell her, Velrisa said in human language. She spoke it fluently now with barely an accent. Daiho knelt down beside the princess. A long time ago there was a war. Humans and Vethrai were enemies. Many people died. Like the names on the stone? Yes, but then something happened. Ahuma,